Hey everybody, it's Peter from the Kia Hyundai channel. Welcome to our live video series. Today we're going to take a look at the 2023 Kia Sportage, which we've done before, and we did some technologies talk, and we did some just an overall overlook of the vehicle, a couple different vehicles, a couple different trims. But today specifically, we're going to talk about the available safety tech on this car because there is no possible way that a salesperson can tell you about everything in this car when you go see that vehicle, in part because it can be confusing and in part because it's just not a practical use of a lot of people's time. What we do on this channel is we go in depth to certain things, and I just want to explain basically the major safety features and what they do and how they benefit you, rather than just give it a title and let you know, hey, you're super safe. So I think this is helpful for people who are tuning into this channel for information purposes. It's not going to be super entertaining, but that's kind of my thing. So here we go. If you're just joining us for the very first time, this is a live video, and if you're not watching live with us 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, then you can skip ahead if you wanted to the 3-minute mark, which is where we'll start the content. If you don't skip ahead, we're going to show you how to join us live, and we'll also talk about a little bit of news and notes, and we got a little bit more Sportage news coming up in that news and notes, so you might want to stick around for that, but it's up to you. All right, let's jump around here, and this is how you join us live. You go to our channel at exactly 2 o'clock on a weekday afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern time, and you refresh the page, and you will see that the live video with a little live tab pops up right there. You're going to click into that. As you click in that, you're going to have to watch an ad, and while I'm trying to skip that ad, we are going to run a quick little ad for the 3 dealers that support this channel. So that is Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owen Sound Hyundai. Those are 3 dealers that support this channel. And if you're in Ontario and you want to buy a car, you can reach out to us. There'll be a link in the description, and I can help connect you with our team, and they will take care of you like family. All right, I feel like that's like the smoothest ad I've done in a while. I've had some struggles. This morning I was in Toronto at an undisclosed location, which you'll see in a video later, which has poor sound quality. I was basically at the end of a runway, and basically Kia had a event there for its staff and employees and sales teams in particular, where they could test drive the Sportage. So the big news is I got a little bit of video on the pre-production version of the Kia Sportage hybrid car. Of course, that hybrid hasn't been released yet in Canada. It will be released very soon. Talked with some people from head office, got a whole bunch of answers to questions that I needed. And I'm going to put that video out this afternoon. I got to pop it together and put it out for you. But I got to drive this car, so we'll talk about that more in about 30 seconds. But that is kind of the big news, is we got to see a couple things that I haven't seen before. And that's why I ended up doing a video on Sportage today, because I've spent some time with that. So there we go. All right, while you're here, if you are a regular with us, we've got 51 of you on right now. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Let's see if we can just blast to 50 likes right off the start here. That'll help people tune in, and that'll help me. And, you know, you can do me a favor on a Thursday afternoon. All right, about 5 seconds to go. We'll get going with the content of this video right about now. 3 seconds to go. All right. Hey buddy, all right, you skipped ahead, now you want to know the content. So what we're going to talk about in this video is the safety features, and I'm going to try to make sure that it makes sense to you. The first thing I want to talk about is I was just mentioning that this morning I was able to drive this car and a hybrid version of this car, which is coming out very soon, on a closed course track setting under the guidance of a professional driver. And he told us how we could drive them. And basically, we could floor them, we could jam on the brakes, we could try to, you know, really take aggressive turning maneuvers and that kind of thing, moose maneuvers kind of thing. So we did all that. And the very first safety feature that you're not going to have, and that I think most people don't truly understand, because frankly, if you drove like the way we did this morning on your test drive, you'd be kicked out of a dealership. But the fun part is we got to drive like that. And the very first safety feature I want to talk about is the way this vehicle handles. You don't think of handling with a crossover vehicle. You don't buy it for handling. A lot of time you don't care about handling. If you want handling, you'd buy a sports car. But the way a vehicle handles really, really matters in safety. You want to make sure that you did it pass the moose test. Well, I tried to roll it and I couldn't. So there's the short answer. I went fairly aggressively through there. But yeah, that's the big thing, is when you're driving this vehicle, and we also had competitor vehicles, so I won't tell about those, which vehicles they are. You can figure out which ones they are. But the way this brakes, the way the brake feel is, the way it emergency maneuvers through corners, the way you feel like you've got traction, and you don't have that like ABS kicking in right away, traction control kicking in right away. When you don't have those early intervention of systems, that means that the car is properly gripping and staying on the road. And this car handles very, very well in emergency situations. And that means that even though it's a taller vehicle, when you whip it left and right in an emergency situation, you are much more likely to stay on the road, to keep control, maintain control, and those electronic devices don't have to make up for a lack of handling in this vehicle. So it is a very, very good handling vehicle, especially in those maneuvers that we have. So I'll put on the video we're going to put up this afternoon, professional driver doing some twists and turns on this, just as sort of some B-roll stuff. You can look for that for the very first video we have on the Sportage Hybrid. So what I'm going to do today is just talk about, through this list of things in here on my list, some of these safety features on this. And of course, you got 6 airbags and you got electronic parking brake. I just want to say number of airbags. Sometimes you see cars as many as 10 airbags. Sometimes they have 6. The idea is that you pass those safety tests. A lot of time when you see like 10 airbags, the vehicle requires all those 10 airbags to pass the safety test. This one only has 6. I think that's a good thing because you've got all the airbags you need to pass those safety tests without having to add extra airbags in weird places and that kind of thing. ABS, electronic stability control, downhill assist, downhill brake control, that kind of thing. I want to talk about, and if you have questions about any of these that I'm mentioning, I'll take your questions in just a second. I want to talk about the trailer stability assist, which is a feature that has this. Every car is sold with stability control. This one has trailer stability assist. And a lot of these things, ABS, traction control, even the all-wheel drive system, they have individual wheel speed sensors, and they can sense various things. So when you have trailer stability assist, you're towing your trailer, and when you get into a maneuver sometimes, maybe the wind's blowing or you're making a maneuver, and if you have to make a quicker maneuver, that trailer can begin to sway. So trailer stability assist is not designed to take out sway from a poorly loaded trailer. But what it is designed to do is when you make a maneuver and induce sway, create sway on your trailer, where the trailer starts wagging the car, this vehicle is very capable of working with you with its electronic stability control system to brake individual wheels to straighten that trailer out and keep it. So it's just a little safety feature that people don't know about that is there. So every one of these features that I'm mentioning right now is on every single Sportage. We have a high-end, top-of-line version here, and we're going to work our way to some of these extra things. They all have spare tires, automatic headlights, those kind of things. I want to talk about tire pressure monitoring systems for a second. All of these tires are monitored by a system that once the vehicle gets going, you can see the exact PSI in the dash. And the safety benefit of that, of course, is as they start to get a little bit low, you're not going to wait for it to like bulge a little bit and have someone honk beside you and say your tire looks low. You're going to know before you have a problem. When they start bulging, they start creating heat because it's flexing, right? Every time the wheel comes around, it flexes down and unflexes and flexes down and unflexes. And of course, all that bending creates heat, and that's how you get blowouts. So tire pressure monitor is kind of important, and they're in every trim line of this vehicle. Forward collision avoidance assist. So forward collision avoidance assist can be in a lot of different models. The way it works in this particular car is you've got a camera up there, and that is capable of seeing vehicles in front of this vehicle. When it can see those kinds of things, it is capable of stopping. Now, it doesn't always stop. Sometimes it can slow you down, various things. Sometimes it doesn't react because it wants you to keep control. But the bigger point is you've got a system where if you're not paying attention and a vehicle is stopped in front of you, this vehicle is capable of stopping to avoid that collision. And there are, of course, always a number of reasons why that will set up to be work and not work in certain situations. And that same camera works with what they call lane keep and lane follow assist. So the idea being that this vehicle can see the road in front of you, and if you have the lane markers on either side, that camera can see those lane markers, and it can just kind of nudge to the left side or nudge to the right side, and the vehicle will actively steer you. It can actually steer you back in the lane. When you press this button right here, that one with the steering wheel there, when you press that button, that's called lane follow assist, and it does exactly that. It sees the lane markers. It's like, I'm not going to let you drift outside to touch those lane markers. It steers the car, and you have to keep your hands on the wheel, but it does actively steer the car to keep you centered in the lane. And that, for me, is a really nice thing on a long trip especially. You can activate it at any speed. You can turn it on or off, but what I like about it is that allows you to keep that vehicle dead center in the lane. And for someone like myself who likes to do road trips, sometimes just getting a drink of water, or if you're glancing at your radio screen for just a quick second on a wide open highway where it's totally safe to do that, you're going to stay centered in the lane. You're not going to risk drifting out of that lane. So it's just a really nice feature to have. And again, every trim line has this. Rear seat occupant alert. So this is a safety feature that I think can annoy some people. So basically what it's going to do is every time you turn the car off, it's going to say in your digital dash, check rear seats. Now, I recommend if you don't have young children, you probably just turn that off. But when you have a child, if this is a first vehicle you're having with maybe your first child, that to me is a really great feature to turn on, and every time you open the door, it's gonna say check rear seat. So I've been there with young kids. I can see how it's tiring. I can see how parents, sometimes leave their child in the rear there. So again, you just turn that on when you're at risk, or maybe you're a grandparent. When the children are there, hey, turn that thing on and off so it tells you that somebody's in the back seat. Kind of a cool feature, and again, all of these are in every trim line. As you move up to the X-Line all-wheel drive from the LX, you're gonna add some features that the original car doesn't have, right? So this car has all of these. Blind spot collision avoidance assist. So when you're shopping for your car, you're gonna notice a lot of competitors in this class have a little marking in the mirror. Let's see if we can see it there. You can see that sort of triangle there. That will light up red in this car. A lot of people are gonna talk to you about blind spot detection, which is how I often refer to this, and it's actually incorrect. And the reason we say blind spot detection is because at the dealership level, even though we're supposed to know these cars, we can't always remember which trim line or which vehicle simply detects a car in your blind spot and which one has active avoidance. And the reason the active avoidance matters is if I'm driving here and you signal, it's gonna, first of all, if I'm just driving here, that red light's gonna be on. If you signal, the car's gonna beep. But what if I'm driving one lane over and I'm over here? You start signaling in and there's no blind spot warning or anything like that. You start coming in here. And me, because I'm not paying any attention, I also decide I want to take the same lane that you're trying to take. The active warning will allow this car, or the active assist, instead of just the warning, will allow this car to brake the opposite right side wheel, and that will nudge your car back away from me. So that's when you can get in a situation where you're turning into a lane. So it's a more advanced system. And when you have this blind spot collision avoidance, you also get rear cross traffic avoidance. And what that means is to have that system, that blind spot system work, there's actually a radar plate back here. This is my favorite part of this collision avoidance system, is if you're backing up the car, and let's pretend my hand is a minivan parked beside you, there is no possible way that you as a driver can see me coming down here, right? So my hand is the minivan and I'm coming this way. But all that has to be out is the back of the car has to be visible behind that minivan that much, and that radar is now looking side to side. If I am walking with a baby stroller or a shopping cart, or if I'm driving, you will have a warning saying that, hey, something is approaching you from this side or that side as you're backing up. And this one has the ability to stop that car from coming. So it's rear cross traffic avoidance assist. So it's not just rear cross traffic alert, it's actually able to avoid an accident of someone crossing here. It can brake that car. So when you're backing up and it's beeping at you, it also has the capability of also stopping when it sees something come across. So that can avoid a very serious accident, and it is a true blind spot when you're backing up. So that avoidance assist is a really big feature to have. And again, those last couple features are on the X line itself. And then you also have parking sensors here. So parking sensors adds to the LX model. When you get to the LX model, which this one is the X line, so this is top line, you have these little dots in the bumper right over here. Those little dots are actually short range sensors for when you're parking. So if I was backing this up right to this door, not only would I have the backup camera, and in this case it has a 360 camera, but not only do I have the backup camera, it will warn me with beeping and a display to show me, hey, I'm getting very close. And when you get really, really close, it has a solid beep. So in addition to seeing things on the camera, you also have those beepers there, which just allow you to not back into something at a slower speed there. All right, moving on from the X-Line all-wheel drive, the safety features that get added in the EX all-wheel drive, which is the next trim line, is smart cruise control. So smart cruise control, we all know what cruise control is, right? You just put it in cruise, set it for 100 kilometers an hour, and it'll go 100 kilometers an hour, right? So smart cruise control adds a radar sensor in the front here. So we can look for that over here. You can see it below the license plate down there. So that radar sensor now looks ahead as well, and that can be used for your smart cruise control. And what happens is you set this car for 100 kilometers an hour, you're cruising along, you start approaching someone here, and the car will keep a certain distance from that vehicle. So it will slow itself down and keep a certain distance. And you can set a number of different distances to keep. It's very clear on how this works in the car. But that, of course, allows you to keep that distance from that car in front of you all on its own. And that's just really helpful to have not only in highway driving, but also in something like stop and go driving, because this smart cruise control in stop and go driving, you go up to 15, 16, 20 kilometers an hour, and then you're back down to 2 kilometers an hour, then back up to 35 kilometers an hour, and back down to 8 kilometers an hour. This can kind of allow you to not have to gas and brake all on your own. It can kind of do that for you. So it's a really good job to have that smart cruise control in that system. But because you have that radar plate, you also have advanced forward collision avoidance assist with junction. So that is a word that is full. Basically what it means is now you're taking this data from that radar plate and you're taking the data from that camera and you can now see more things. So you can see things usually like cyclists, but you have more data to avoid more things. And this can sense, of course, distance very well, and that can still see things like vehicles. And now you have a more precise ability to avoid collisions in front of you, right? It's got more data points to help you avoid those collisions as well. It also has junction avoidance assist. So what that means is you're at a red light, you're about to turn in front of me, and I'm deciding that I'm gonna run the yellow light before you clear the intersection. You're looking left, you assume I'm gonna stop. I, instead of braking, decide to accelerate, and I'm gonna run through. While you're looking left, you're gonna turn in front of me. If you turn in front of me, the car is capable, again, in the proper situations, of seeing that I'm gonna go through, and the car is capable of stopping while I continue to go through. That is one of the most dangerous collisions in town, one of the most high fatalities, that kind of thing, collisions and high injury rate collisions in town. So having that smart cruise control adds that higher level of collision avoidance assisting, including in that junction assistance, and that's another reason to have that EX trim, which adds that ability to avoid that collision altogether. You move up from there into the EX all-wheel drive, EX Premium all-wheel drive, and now you're adding front and rear parking sensors. So not just the rear parking sensors we thought before. If you look over here, we've got those same type of parking sensors over here. See that little dot right there? Now, I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked it out yet, I believe you can set up, so when this now senses parking sensors in the front, on the highest end trim, it can trigger things like your 360 camera. In other words, it has a little camera out here, we'll talk about that in a second on the highest trim, where if you have that camera, as soon as those things start beeping, it's gonna show you a camera view of right in front of your car. And again, you can not just be warned of things, you can see what's going on if you have the camera system. On the EX model, it's just gonna beep things. So again, as you're approaching a curb, you don't wanna damage something, it'll just start beeping, and when it has a solid beep, you're about 6 inches out or so, and that just gives you a little bit extra protection from hitting things at slower speeds while you're parking. So, moving up now to the X-Line Limited, which is the car we're looking at today. And we will take your questions here in a second here. X-Line Limited, and we will also go inside the car and show you some of these features here. X-Line Limited adds rear parking collision avoidance assist. So that's essentially that, those beepers, it can use that to avoid parking incidents. You also add highway driving assist. So highway driving assist combines a number of features that you have. Because you've got navigation in this car, we talked about the lane follow assist, which can keep you centered in the lane. We talked about the smart cruise control, which can hold the speed and vary the speed based on the vehicles around you. Excuse me. But now the highway driving assist can combine those features with your navigation data to help you keep your speed. It just makes everything a little bit more precise. It can adjust some of your speed based on, speed limits changing and those kinds of things. But it just makes highway driving assist basically makes, we can't call it self-driving, but those who used to call Tesla's autopilot, the early autopilot, it's a very similar experience to that. You're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel on a Tesla in autopilot. You're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel with this. I know that in my car, when I've tested it out, I've released the hands off the wheel for probably about 2 minutes or so, and the car can stay centered down the lane. It does take corners and that kind of thing on its own. You're responsible for where your car goes, which is why you have to keep your hands on the wheel, but it's just a very precise system that keeps you going where you want to go. So that is the highway driving assist. Blind view monitor, we're going to show you that one, and surround view monitor. So let's blind view monitor. I'll start the car up later when I signal. When I signal, a little gauge in your dash is going to turn to a live video feed using this camera right here. The software analyzes it and sends the video feed back over here, and you have a live video feed while you're signaling of your blind spot, in this case on the left side, also on the right side. Now those cameras all around the car, I want to show you how this works with this camera system. Oh, good, the keys here. Somebody locked my car. There we go, so we got it unlocked. So when you have this camera system, it's actually a very cool camera system. So again, big 12.3 inch screens in here, the biggest we have in any car. Let's turn the volume down here for a second. A little bit of glare here, but we can deal with that. So when we got this turned on, we're gonna just get into there for a second. Let's throw it in reverse for a second. As we throw it in reverse, this is the 360 camera we have. Now, just so you understand how this works, obviously that's a backup camera. We're gonna get to this in a second. Over here, if I turn my wheel left or right, I'll turn a little bit more cards off. This will show you where the front is going to swing and roughly where the back is going to turn. So we're gonna put it back to center to keep it straight for now. But this here is just a computer generated image of your car. The way you can see in front, behind, and side to side is there's a camera in the front looking forward, camera on the mirror and the mirror covering your side view, and a camera in the rear covering the rear view. So anything taller than where those cameras are will not be visible. The highest cameras you actually have are on the side and on the door. So for instance, when we look at my actual backup camera, the same camera that is looking down here and giving me this view, you can't see the door handle there, right? But the same camera is computer restitched to show you higher up here. So you've got the camera being computer analyzed, computer set up to show you behind you there. And even when I zoom out, you can't see the door handle because it's too high. But in the backup camera thing, you can clearly see the door handle right there. So what it does is anything below the camera line is very accurate on this, but higher than the camera line, not so accurate, obviously because it's outside the camera. Now, backup camera is right here. Now, one cool safety feature that you can do is you can sit there and if you are parallel parking, you can do this. This looks at my rear wheels when I'm parallel parking because again, I'm backing up. If I went to drive and I did the same thing, it could show me my front wheels. So if I turn the wheel there, you can see the front wheels are turning right there, left side and right side. So again, parallel parking going forward, parallel parking going reverse. You can also look straight in front of the car and you can also look straight down from the car. Again, it gives you that sort of software restitching availability that worked pretty well. So, and then what's really cool in this one is we'll go back to reverse for a second. When we go back to reverse, you have the cool option of doing this. This is pretty cool. Again, this is just software. This is not actually our vehicle. And the way you can tell is because the vehicle we're in is gray. And I feel like that's a missed opportunity. They should make this gray. But what's cool about this is if you see something here, you can be like, oh, wait a minute, what's that? Like over there is my, there's a car over there. So again, we're restitching. Remember on this view here, that camera in the mirror is looking straight down. Well, the only way we can see that car beside us, and let me just show you, there is a car beside us over there, is in this view, that side camera is doing two things. It is looking down through the software here, and it's looking out sideways through the software there. And that's how I see there is a teddy bear over there behind us. There is a Kia Soul over there. There's my computer on a camera. All these things are higher than the camera line, which you don't see here. But now in this manipulation here, you can turn things around so that you can stitch the thing together. And because this is very iPad-like, if you think about it, it's restitching it every time. If I just do this, right, I've got to go bird's eye view and look straight down. I still can't see the door handle right there. But if I do this and look back, you can see the door handle up there in the line there. At least I can see it up in the wording there. And again, the teddy bear. So again, you can't see the table leg. You can see the table legs over here, but you can see the whole table. And you can, if I try to get it, you can see the computer on the table, right? So those would be above the window line, above the mirror line over there. But it just kind of gives you an example of if you're in a tight spot and you're like, wait a minute, is there anything on my left or right? You can just take a quick peek around and see what you've got. How close am I to that curb? Oh, okay, I can see that curb there. So it's kind of a fun way to play with things and use an advanced system there. So pretty cool. All right. I'm gonna go take your questions now. I've got 104 people on, we got 76 likes, and I do appreciate that. I get it, this isn't super entertaining. I'm gonna go take your questions. If there's a feature that you wanna know more about, let's do that. The last feature I wanna show you inside is we're just gonna start the car up for one quick second because I have to start the car to show you, again, there's the stitching to the side. I signal left and there is the mirror on the left-hand side, live video feed, signal right, same thing over there on the left-hand side there. Gotta turn the car off. You have to turn the car on when you do that. So we're gonna go take your questions. There's live video feed. Somebody says horsepower, 187 or so. We'll save that for another video. We're gonna deal with primarily safety features first. Those are the questions I'll look for first. We will certainly be willing to go off topic and talk about other things as well. I do wanna talk about lighting in 1 second because there are some features of the lighting in this vehicle that are safer and, very safe and probably safer. So we'll talk about that as well. Are the mirrors power folding like the previous generation? I don't remember. On the EV6 they are. Let's find out. Let's get the key and we'll find out for you. I feel like they're not on this trim line, but let's find out. Okay, so we pop open the car, flip it over here, lock the door. Yep, they just stay put. So they are not power folding on this car. Unlock the car. Yeah, normally there would be a switch here that said something like that, and they are not. Horsepower, I already answered you, 187 horsepower. So in this car, and again, the hybrid will have more. We'll talk about the hybrid later in the video. All right, let's flip back over here. I'm looking for safety questions first, so if I ignore your questions, bear with me. We'll come back to it in a second here. Well, you would think the car could show the right color on the side view mirror cameras. Yeah, it would be interesting to, show the right color. That's a software thing again, because remember that it's not always looking at the car. In fact, it's not at all looking at the car. So I think it'd be cool. They know the VIN numbers of these vehicles. It'd be cool if the software also picked up the color of the car. So and then again, this car has no sunroof. Any car that has this camera system will have a sunroof. So I think the top view should show the sunroof, stuff like that. Somebody said this car would be way better with a 2.5 liter turbo. Keep in mind they're going to give a hybrid in here and eventually a plug-in hybrid. Those are going to ramp up the torque and power significantly, as well as the efficiency. And I think that's the right way to go. If you want the turbo engine, you go to Sorento. If you want to get a little more power but also gain efficiency, you're going to go with hybrid and PHEV. And I will say that the hybrid, a lot of hybrids don't corner well because they've got extra battery weight and the battery's up higher. It raises the center of gravity, which means the car looks the same from the outside, but it feels way tippier on the inside. Camry Hybrid was terrible for this, especially. I used to have a Camry Hybrid myself. Regular Camry, yeah, okay handling. It's a Toyota, but it's okay. Camry Hybrid, not good handling. So these cars still handle well, even with the hybrid system, and then again, you're adding power with that. So that's what they're doing there. Never understand whether it's self-driving. What is the driver going to do while the car is driving itself? So again, self-driving is not what this car does. I will say though, we're all control freaks. We all think we're great drivers and we all do stuff. But when you go to change the radio station, you wander in your lane. I used to be a motorcyclist. I've had people nearly kill me because they drive across the line and I'm coming towards them because they're changing the radio station or they're putting their coffee cup down. So these driver aids are very, very good for keeping you centered in the lane. It's not, again, this car does not self-drive, and self-driving is a whole other conversation that we'll have as that becomes more available. But the ability for the cars to steer itself allows the driver to see the scene, or allows the driver to do the things that they're going to do when they're driving. Just make adjustments to temperature controls and stay centered lane, keep it safe. So there we go. Somebody said, did I drive the hybrid this morning? I did drive the hybrid this morning through a closed course. I took it through a handling loop as well as just regular driving. And I have a short video that I have to just put together. It'll be up before the end of the day, before I leave work here, and we'll go there. Can't even make a reservation with PHEV here in Quebec. When will that be possible? PHEV, we're looking at probably August-ish for reservations. That's still probably a little bit debatable. They were a little more firm than I believe them to be. They said it should be August, and I think it'll be probably August. Hybrid, you'll be able to order in April-ish is what the goal is. So we'll be having information on that very soon. So, all right, let's just do one little thing. I want to show you lighting, and then I want to make sure we wrap this up in time, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's flip it around over here. So I'm going to turn on the headlights, and we're going to talk about just general lighting stuff overall. So let's just do that for a second. Power there, and we'll go headlighting. We'll go fog lighting as well. So there are two types of LED headlighting in this car. This is the higher end lighting. And it's just, you can see them a little bit more segmented there. There's like a section here, there's a section there, and they are extremely bright, extremely bright. And the bigger difference that you see is every LED lighting is gonna have nice white lighting. Now this wall makes it look yellow. It doesn't reflect the proper color at all. I don't know why it does that. I don't understand cameras and stuff that much. But yeah, so it's a little more yellow, but it's a very white daylighty color. This particular type of lighting has a very sharp cutoff. Now, having said that, if you are a Kia nerd like me, you'll notice the difference you're going to see is that the other LED lighting, sort of see how this blends in about this much from no light to full light. The other LED lighting has a little bit more of a blend line, but it is still a very sharp cutoff, still very good color. That white, bright color that's closer to daylight allows you to react quicker because your brain will see something like a rabbit and it will instantly be able to identify it as a rabbit because it's in lighting that your brain recognizes. It's your brain recognizes daylight. So LED lighting is very good for visibility, and there are two types of lighting. The top trim line has a slightly more precise LED headlight versus the regular one, but all of them are excellent. These here are just daytime running lights, so they're just a style thing. And then depending on the trim line, you may have an LED signal light in here, which is just, that's the marker, and all of these will light for a signal. So we'll turn on the left side signal so you see what I'm talking about right there. And you can see all three lights now come along. And again, that's very amber in person. The camera doesn't adapt to quite the same lighting there. And of course, you do have fog lights on this trim as well, just to give you a little extra lighting on the road. Coming along back here, you guys really like amber signal lights. You also like the new Sportage because it has signal lights up here, whereas the old ones had them down here. So it's got what you need. These are amber. They are not showing up great in the camera, but good amber lighting there. And then LED lighting in the back here. LED brake lighting and overall lighting is very nice. It's clean. It's instant on, so it kind of catches your attention when you brake. And that's another little safety feature right there. The other nice thing about LED bulbs is they last a very long time. So you're not really likely to change headlight bulbs in these cars, even over the course of your entire ownership of the car for many people, I would say most people. So there we go. So we are 30 minutes in. That's where we kind of like to keep these videos. We've got 108 people on. We've got 93 people that said, yes, this is worth a like. Do me a favor, guys. If it's just helpful that I'm doing videos like this, do me a favor, hit me a like. Let's see if we can blast that well past 100. And I'll see if I can answer a couple more questions. And like I said, I got a lot to do today. I will try to get I will get the video of me going over an overview for the, LED signal lights. That's right. These ones have LED signal lights in the rear. I will try to get the video up this afternoon. I will get the video up this afternoon of me just doing a quick little walk around of a pre-production hybrid, and I'll talk about some of those driving impressions in that video. Very good cars to handle. Somebody asked me to open the sunroof, and I don't usually do that, so let's just do that really quickly to finish off this video here. We'll show you inside and outside. So love this panoramic sunroof. Let's just show you really quickly the feature. It's not a safety thing, but we'll just show you why. If you made it this far, you've earned it. So if you want to close that panel, that is a electronically closing panel or electrically closing panel. And of course, if you close it, I guess a little bit more insulation, a little bit more warmth, and certainly some more sound deadening there. But if I want to open it, I take this switch right here. I go all the way back, and that will open, and now the sunroof will as well. It's a large panel. The large panel will not open fully large because it would just create too much turbulence inside. It goes about that far back, and that's where it stays, which, if you look at me right now, is absolutely perfect. It's, tons of air above you, and it's very wide across the vehicle here. If you look at it from the top, we'll show you right here. It is, again, on this X-Line model with the slightly raised roof rails, it's very close to those roof rails, keeps it in there. The only thing you want to be careful is if you have a lot of bigger attachments on here, you may not want to open that when you have some roof rails there. It depends on the attachment you have. You can make that decision. I think some of them will be fine, but other ones depends on what you're putting up there. Just be aware of opening that sunroof like that. So there we go, guys. We hit 107 likes. I appreciate that. Tomorrow we're going to have a Hyundai Kona here, and we'll talk about that. And yeah, I think we're going to leave it there. I want to thank everyone for watching. We'll see you again in the next one.